Well, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My very dear students of MA English first semester, Classical Drama 1. I will be reading out certain lines and passages from King Oedipus. And not only I will be explaining those lines to you people for your exams, for the critical analysis and explanations, but I will also try to help you with this understanding of a topic of King Oedipus as tragic hero. This play is written by Sophocles. Originally, it was in Greek, but now we have in translation in English, and the volume I carry with me is published by Penguin Books. As it happens, King Oedipus is king of Thebes, and his city is visited by plague, and people led by the high priest Zeus they approach him, and this is how uh, Oedipus addresses them when uh, they uh, they come to him. He says, "I, Oedipus, whose name is known afar." He addresses the priest and he says, "You, reverend sir, in right of age, should speak for all of them. What is the matter? Some fear, something you desire? I would willingly do anything to help you." So it means in the very start we come to know that this man, King Oedipus or Oedipus Rex, is he stands at this very high pedestal in life, has this reputation and fame, and he is first among men. He is greatest among men for his past accomplishments, for his past achievements, and people approach him because he has been their deliverer, has been their protector, has been their defender in the past. He was the one who killed Sphinx and liberated this city, and they accepted him as his reward, uh, as their king. And this is why uh, high priest addresses him as, "If we come to you now, sir, as your suppliants, I and these children, it is not as holding you the equal of gods, but as the first of men. Whether in the ordinary business of mortal life or in the encounters of man with more than man, it was you, we remember, a newcomer to Cadamus town, that brought fame. Your diligence saved us once." So it means, well, all these things put together, they make him a hero. So any tragic hero, before he becomes a tragic hero, he is a hero, whether it is King Lear, or he actually is a hero for this extraordinary share of good qualities of head and heart. So we see that this man, he is the leader, he is the role model, he occupies this very high position in society, and has commands respect and reverence, and he is very kind and caring. So he assures them that he not only he will do what he can do to save them from their present misery and suffering, but he has already initiated some steps, and he has already sent his cousin Kriyan to seek the help and the guidance of their God. And then he makes this pledge to them that whatever the God requires upon my honor, it shall be done. Well, in my opinion, this line is very important. And that actually uh, represents his tragic flaw, or hamartia as the Greeks would call it. That subsequently he would not honor this pledge which he has made to the people. Uh, for example, when Theseus, the messenger of their god, he arrives, and he, in the start, is very Theseus is very reluctant actually to reveal, you know, the secrets he knows about the life history of King Oedipus. But when he is forced by king himself, uh, he, he reveals. But before he reveals these secrets, he asks the king to leave the city and go into exile. Now, he should have left the city, as he earlier said, because he was a messenger of their God, and he should have left the city and should have obeyed this messenger of the gods, because this is what their God required of him as king. He should have obeyed it in grace and with dignity, but he refuses, and instead he starts blaming, and instead he starts abusing, you know, this messenger. And that was his tragic flaw. And we also need to keep this thing in mind that there are two main factors which bring about uh, the tragedy, or which complete the tragedy of this great man. First of all, it is his own character, that he usually commits a mistake in the form of some misjudgment, in the form of some error, or in the form of some wrong step, So mainly he himself, or his character as we call it, is responsible for his tragedy. But then we also need to keep this thing in mind that fate also turns against him. Fate also becomes his enemy. And fate appears in the form of chance and coincidence. So it was his fate that brought him face to face with his father, and unknowingly he murdered him. It again was his fate uh, that in ignorance he married a woman who was old enough to be his mother, but he did not. Uh, 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 he should not have married him, because he already was warned by the oracles that he is going to kill his father and marry his own mother, so he should not have done that. That also comes under the heading of this hamartia, or his tragic flaw. But mainly, I would say these are his mistakes and lapses. But to me, mainly his mistake, or tragic flaw, or hamartia, is his failure to obey the messenger. And fate also turns, as I said, fate also turns against him, and it's the combination of his fate and tragedy that bring fate, his character, and fate that brings about his tragedy. And when messenger reveals finally that he was the one who murdered his own father, and he is living in sin with his own mother, so he blinds himself and he leaves the city of thieves in disgrace and in shame and humiliation, and people, and I mean the audience and the readers, they have this feeling of sympathy and pity for this man, because they still remember his good and great deeds. They still remember that there was a time when he used to occupy that very high position in life and society, and he was a great king, a great conqueror, a rescuer, a defender, a protector of his people. And now this man, because of the crimes he committed, though those crimes were committed in ignorance, and we cannot blame him for these crimes, so we say his fate was not on his side, and his fate was his own enemy. But now he lives as a beggar, so people, they have sympathy and pity for this man, and they also experience this sense or feeling of fear for their own selves, because unconsciously they think that if this thing could happen to this great man, the same might one day happen to him. So the arousal of the twin feelings of pity for the fallen man and fear for their own self is called catharsis. This catharsis is the ultimate test of tragedy, and the Greeks, they believe that catharsis imparts a peculiar kind of pleasure to the audience or to the readers. So we see that the punishment, and then this brings us to this aspect of this talk, that there is no justice in tragedy. because the punishment that is given to him is always more than he actually merits and more than he actually deserves. So, uh, uh, I mean, the feeling among the hearts of the audience is that, well, he did not deserve this kind of punishment. He is not totally innocent, and he is not what Aristotle calls a poor fish. So he is a man, and he shares his humanity with us, and has great qualities of head and heart, as I said earlier. But then, he commits a mistake, and his fate is against him, not on his side, and the punishment that is meted out to him is more than he merits. So the catharsis, the arousal of the feelings of pity and fear, and he lives in disgrace and humiliation and shame. Well, dear students, thank you very much. That was a small talk on